All right, Leafs talk. JD Bunkis, Sam McKee. Leafs win in regulation, and normally that would be cause for celebration, stealing one from the Ottawa Senators in their home arena. But yeah, man, there's no other place to start tonight. This loss was deflating. You and I have already shared some texts about the mood, but Joe Wall, who was in the middle of what I think was his best performance as a Toronto Maple Leaf, leaves with a leg injury, has to be helped off the ice, and can't put any pressure on the leg down the tunnel. And the only question is, man, where the hell do the Leafs go from here?
I was like, while I was watching him play and not watching him make save after save after save, like ridiculous save after save after save,
Mhm.
like multiple, like feeling like save of the year candidates.
Unreal.
I was trying to think like anecdotally, like of a goalie performance that this reminded me of over the last few years. Like I was trying to like think of something that this was up there with, because I really in the moment it felt like one of the better goaltending performances for the Leafs in this era. Like it was
Yeah.
unbelievable. They weren't just like, it wasn't just the quantity of saves, it was the quality of saves, breakaways, 2-on-0s, the back and like the cross crease twice on Tarasenko. It's just the quality of save. But yeah, he's not good. I'm no doctor, pal, and I don't, pretend to be smart as one, but it does not look good. It no weight, looked like some hip rotation, weird thing. Looked like he was favoring it earlier in the period. Just not pretty. So I don't really know where you go from here.
Yeah, I don't know if it's his hip or his knee or his groin, but it's a lower body injury for a goaltender. And if, you're even being conservative with this thing, you got to imagine that the way that he left the ice, that this is going to be an IR stint at the very least. You just hope that it's not surgery, that it's something that he can rehab and get back during the middle of the season. And I don't, this one is just crushing for so many reasons, but the way that he was playing makes it worse. It's his fifth straight start. He's
Mhm.
clearly taken control of the net.
Yep.
And you mentioned it. This is just like, Joe, run the saves. You're right. I was actually so happy for him. Like, dude, you know how this is now. Like, we cover this for a living. You're the feeling, the highs and lows of the team. Sometimes they can dip. It stays usually pretty steady, but there was something about seeing this kid just play this way and thinking, you know what? This Battle of Ontario tonight, it started off with just a dreadful first period. I was thinking about how, different it is from the days of when this regular season matchup used to matter. And Joe Wall was having a game, like you mentioned, that we were going to remember.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
that's the beauty of playing the Ottawa Senators and having a night like this, is that you were going to remember this for all the right reasons. And now it's all the wrong ones. Like Tarasenko, he robs twice on cross crease glove saves. The second one is just even better than the first, because the first one, Tarasenko kind of cradles it and takes the extra second and shoots it in the middle of the net. Second one is just brilliant. The tip on Norris, the breakaway save there on Joseph, like, this was spectacular. This is
Oh
the
yeah.
kind of performance that had probably every single Leafs group chat buzzing, Leafs Twitter buzzing. Everybody's feeling like, holy crap, if this goalie is this guy, then maybe you have something this year. And so to just watch that go up potentially in flames late in this hockey game is just, ugh, I feel
Yeah.
sick for the kid. I feel sick for the fans. I feel sick for the team, everybody all around.
It sucks. There's no question. It's a big blow, but like I think we kind of have to take a step back here and realize that Ilya Samsonov has been bad this year, but he's had stretches of being a good NA. Like I don't think they're totally screwed here. It's their decor worries me much more than having a Samsonov Martin Jones combo. Like Jones came in tonight, he made a bunch of good saves. He was fine. I don't expect him to be a good NHL goalie, but he can like back up. He can give you a month worth of backup starts or whatever, and you get Samsonov back in there, maybe get him rolling. Like they
Mm.
they do, like, obviously it's not good. It's a bad situation here, but I don't think they're totally screwed. Like Samsonov can play well. I know he hasn't shown it, but like maybe now that he knows he's the guy, there's no threat in front of him. I don't know, but they're gonna need him to kind of pull up the bootstraps here, because he is their undisputed number one guy heading into these next few games. They need him to get feeling better, get into games, and away we go here, because he is the number one guy for,
Yeah, I don't
I'm
agree.
gonna say it a long period of time.
Yeah, I hope Samsonov can steady himself in the net, but and here's the spin zone if you're going to try to believe in Samsonov. This is a guy who last year started to take off when the net was conclusively his,
That's
right?
what you
When he
said, yeah.
wasn't feeling the pressure of the guy behind him.
Yeah.
So you can sort of point to that, but now you've got two goaltenders, one who this year has a sub 900 save and the other who last year had a sub 900 save.
Yep.
And this is all in front of that blue line. That is all in front of this team that just consistently makes boneheaded mistakes in their own end, including Nylander's at the end of that game, where it's just like a dog effort where he just tries to fire a puck up the middle of the ice
Twice
in a tightly contested hockey game. And yeah, essentially just like gives up on a play. It's tough to say like, oh, they're screwed. They're screwed. Like, yeah, I guess it's like, what does that really mean? Like, what is that relative to? But do I think that Joe Woll represented a certain level of hope for this team when it comes to the ceiling? I do. Like, yeah, we've seen it with Samsonov last year in the playoffs. We've also seen the downs of Samsonov, and I'm not convinced with where he's at and what he's put up in his career that he is going to be a game-changing goaltender over a large stretch of time for this team. And I feel like with Martin Jones, who's like, I think 33 or 34 years old, who's clearly been in his decline, like good job by him, a veteran goalie who stepped in and made some solid saves at the end, like didn't look rattled by the moment, did what he needed to do. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not feeling the same way as you are, where like this is an okay injury. If you told me right now on the team,
I'm not saying it's like okay. Like obviously it's bad. It's clearly bad. They were getting extremely above average goaltending there from their young prospect kid that they've brought up and developed, and he's playing well and he's looking like a starting goalie. It's not a good situation, but I'm just not saying that they're like going to Michael Hutchinson and another AHL guy here. They're going to Samsonov, who was one of the stories of last year with how good he played. He was good for them in the playoffs. He was a big reason they won their first playoff series. Like, it's in there for him to be a capable average NHL goaltender. And Martin Jones, like, he was bad for a lot of last year, but he can get hot for a decent stretch. He remember he had 1 or 2 good months. Like, they're not like, I don't know. It's so hard to do this conversation without knowing what the prognosis is and how long we're looking at here and what they're going to need to do with the goaltending situation. Like if he's out for the year,
want the spin? You want the big spin?
God forbid he's out for the year, then you're doing something. Yeah. But if this is going to be a month or something, you can survive with Samsonov and Martin Jones.
Dude, the big spin here is that may this pod have no shelf life.
Yeah, sure.
Like, may this pod be the worst pod that we've ever done in terms of shelf life, because it turns out that the kid's totally fine. To me, this is just like, goaltenders are very much what have you done for me lately, and large sample. And Samsonov, what he's done for them lately has been horrific. Yeah. And he also is a guy that on a large part, like his entire track record is not very good. And with Martin Jones, like, yeah, this isn't 2016 anymore. This is a guy who is an AHL goaltender. Like, I'm sorry, he is essentially a Michael Hutchison now. Like, he cleared waivers. There were teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning that were in desperate needs of a goaltender, and they just decided, like, you know what? No, it's fine. We're not going to claim Martin Jones. Like, yeah, no, this is a debacle. This is
it's like, listen, it's not a great situation. It's not a great situation, but the guy who's paid more money, who they paid as a starting goalie, who they had trust in heading into this season, is going to be coming out here, and they're going to need to get some starts from him. It's a bad situation. But they have another NHL goalie that can play. Yeah, who could? How could you trust him? Obviously. Yeah. But he's shown flashes, and you just have to hope that they're not going to go out there and make a huge trade tonight to get somebody. Like, this is going to be the guy. You're going to have to see if Samsonov can pull up the bootstraps and play hockey. Like, there's just no.
That's the problem.
What, that he can't do it?
Problem. No, I don't think that the problem is that I don't think that, Samsonov can be like a decent NHL goaltender who can help this team to wins.
Yeah.
The problem is that I think that this team is much worse defensively than they were last year.
Of course,
like Samsonov's numbers last season were buoyed by how good the Leafs were in front of him. They didn't allow a lot of home run chances. They were not a team that got burnt in transition the same way. They were absolutely deeper on the blue line, and they had a better and more complete forward group when it came to being able to like cover defensively. That's not what this team has this year. What they need is a goalie, like you saw a lot tonight, a guy who can steal them a game. And what I'm saying is, if you were going to hope on this season, like that first half of the game or that first 2 periods and a half before Woll went down, that was the kind of thing that you can dream on, is this unknown commodity that might not know how much pressure this team is under, that might not feel the pressure or the weight of a career like an Ilya Samsonov, that might not have the ghosts of the demons that are attached to him with this Toronto Maple Leafs team. This big goaltender who played the way that the Leafs needed, which was calm in the net, good rebound control, good positionally, and just someone who seemed to steady the ship at times. Someone who the head coach finally said, you know what, screw this 50-50 stuff. This is the guy that we're playing. And I know Samsonov had the illness and maybe he would have gotten in one of these games, but either way, it was like for a team that has felt a little rudderless at times, for a team that has struggled with starts and closing periods and struggled to kind of maintain a consistent identity, Woll was emerging as this one thing that you could kind of lean on and believe in. And so now you've got a thing where it's like all of a sudden a team where just about every group with this team is like subpar, right? You'd say so far the bottom six, it's like starting to come together, but it's been subpar for most of the season. The secondary scoring, blah, blah, blah. This hasn't been a great season for Matthews. Like it was a good start, but it hasn't been a great season overall. Marner's turning it on now. Hasn't been a great season overall. The blue line below average. You thought maybe you were getting above average goaltending, and now you add that to the mix. Like, yeah, it's ugly. And now, and the other part of this, you know, we're watching the insiders talk about how they wanted to be able to go and get Chris Tanev, but they don't have a second round pick to get him. Like they're already fighting it to be able to bring in their needs on the blue line. And now you might have to add goaltender to this list with a limited group of assets. It's just, yeah, the dominoes of this thing to me are terrifying. I'm sorry. Like I know that I'm being probably Polly panic over here, but
you
this
are
is just
panicking. But you're just going on and on. You're panicking. You're panicking.
I'm full blown panic, bud. I'm full blown hating this. Like I'm sick to my stomach.
It sucks. I can tell you're really upset. It sucks. The kid was playing great. It sucks. Like it absolutely sucks. But like, you know, they're gonna have to depend on Samsonov. And I know that's a scary situation, but you're just gonna run him out there and you're gonna hope you can find it. It's true though.
Like this is what Keith's gonna sound like tomorrow.
Yeah, great.
We gotta move on. We got a lot of faith in Sammy.
Listen, they saw him play great. They played well. He's paid well. He's got to play well. And he's going to get in there, I guess, Saturday night if he's well enough to play. Maybe he's not well enough to play. What's the kid in the Marlies? Maybe they can bring up that Hildeby. That's a massive – I don't know. Like, I just don't think they're going to go out there and find somebody that's going to come in. Like, you're just going to have to survive it. Sucks. It's a big loss. It's been really good. But, like, yeah, it's just – and also, this has kind of been, unfortunately, the story of Woll's career. Like, he has really struggled with injury all throughout his career at every level. And it just you kind of felt like he was getting momentum. They had a long break off here where, you know, you thought he was able to rest, get some good practice in. And then, of course, that's the game it happens. But, yeah, sucks big time. But they're just going to have to lean on Samsonov. Like, it's obviously terrible, but I think they can survive it. I really do.
So what do you think the score would be if Samsonov was in that tonight?
Probably 7-1 in the first period.
Yeah.
but maybe you just don't let, you know, 100 grade A chances into the net, you know, like,
but this is my point, dude. This is my point.
Yeah, maybe this is a rallying point for them. They find a way to start playing some better defensive hockey. They can coach it because it's like, well, you're going to have to support your guy, get better. Like they got to find a way to play better defensive hockey regardless. It's not sustainable leaning on a goaltender to win you every single night. It's just not sustainable anyway. So maybe this is a wake-up call for them.
Of course it's not sustainable. I just, again, like, what are you basing this off of? Like, what are you basing this, like, based, like this team, what signs are going to...
I saw them play their best defensive hockey last year when they had Mac Hollowell and they had, you know, their Morgan Riley was out and all these guys were out and they came together and played well. Like, they are a team that can rally around this kind of thing. They still have a ton of talent. It sucks, but I don't think it's like the end of the season.
But no one said it was the end of the season. Like,
well, you're Paulie panicking over here. You're just like, you went on like a 15-minute soliloquy about how like that's all. Like,
but it's a massive blow.
Of course it is.
But like, what I don't even understand what you're doing here. Like, you're like, of course the season's not over. It's December. But if you're talking about like things that would be the worst thing that could happen to the Leafs, it's starting to have a breakout from your young goaltender who is on a rookie minimum deal. Like, he is making no money. There's nothing that can replace him other than the hope of a goaltender that we haven't seen play well since last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs, who's sick right now and who's already been on the record about this season of how he's been dealing with it mentally. Like, do I think there's a scenario that Samsonov steps in and plays well? Yeah. But do I think it's likely? No. Do I think there's a scenario where the Leafs can rally defensively? Sure. Do I think it's likely? No. Do I think that all of a sudden that they're going to be able to turn Max Domi and Nick Robertson and Ryan Reeves into good defensive forwards that are going to be able to help with the back checking and defensive responsibilities. Like, no, this is just like on a balance of what is most probable right now. The Leafs just lost a guy who was their MVP in this hockey game, who's been their best player since they got back from Sweden, and someone who represented a real hope for this group moving towards the postseason this year of, wow, like you might have one of the guys. And if you do lose him for the season, you do lose him for a long period of time, like it's really going to hurt this team's chances of being able to accomplish that.
Yeah, I think if I could make a prediction, Joe Wall will start game 1 of the playoffs. Is that
I love how we're doing this. Like,
is that an okay prediction? Like, I really like, I've made my point. You made my point. Like, is there anything else you want to talk about? Like outside of that, it's just, we've both made our point on it. Going around in circles.
I do think that it can't be understated too, that for a team that's this up against the cap, that they finally get this relief in the Klingberg contract. And the entire focus is, hey, you got to add to the blue line. Something that's been a little lost in it is you'd still like to add another center to this team. Like, I don't think Domi's been good in that role. He's been better in that role. Really nice play tonight by him where, it's sort of a tic-tac-toe play. Robertson, Domi, we criticize him a lot for not shooting the puck enough, but like it's this kind of vision that probably prevents him, I think, at times from shooting, is because like he knows he can make these kind of just beautiful, easy tap-in plays over to Yarncroc. Like, yeah, very nice goal.
Beautiful.
But I don't know if he's going to be the long-term solution at center. And so it's just like for a team that has like 2 very major holes, which is addressing the blue line at the very top to push everybody down, potentially adding a third line center come playoff time. You add starting goaltender to that mix, and I just think it's too many holes for Brad Treliving to be expected to patch up this year.
Yeah, especially with no picks. He was left with nothing.
Like, so I mean,
yeah.
Like,
so
where are you going with this?
You better hope your highest paid goaltender plays like it. Like, that's how it comes down to. Like, oof. I think there's a scenario where we look back on this and we're like, in 2 weeks, we're like, oh, thank God Sammy found his game in a way to like just keep them above water. Like, what's Woll's even? I haven't even looked at his stats. What's his save percentage? 915, 917.
I don't have it in front of me. I don't have his stats.
I would imagine that's what it's around. But like, if Samsonov can give him 905, 907, they'll survive this. I'm like, it's not necessarily, the most likely scenario. I understand that, but so he was 915 before tonight, so he probably would have maybe gone up a point or two. But yeah, I do have some belief that he can give them average goaltending. That's as far
so you
as
think the Leafs are playing well enough that an average goalie is going to provide them with wins?
Well, I mean, the Raj is in the lineup tonight. Lagesson can't play. Benoit's playing all the time. Timmins can't. I think if you maybe are going to make an addition here in the next couple of weeks, you add a defenseman, and then you worry a little bit less about you need to add some defensive help to this team to maybe support the goaltending that you have in place, depending on how long Wall is out. But yeah, like the way they're playing, they played awful tonight for 85% of the game. They're just
when have they played well outside of the Boston game?
Well, I don't know. Sweden, they played pretty well, I guess, for a little bit here and there. I'm trying to think. Before Sweden, before they left, 2 months ago, whenever that was, they played well against Vancouver. They played well against Calgary. I'm just trying to they go to OT every game. They just play weird hockey. They're a weird team. They really are. Yeah. But
I just don't see what I don't see a team that's going to be able to get average goaltending and win hockey games. Like, they stole this game tonight because, again, they got the best performance of Wool's career.
Yeah,
like that was the path for them to get it. They played really well in the Bruins game, and before that, it was bad. And like, I guess that maybe is a way for us to pick, but yeah, like Ilya Samsonov right now, an 878 save percentage, and a goalie that you brought in from different. And like, even if your theory of like, hey, go add blue line help, okay, so now you're rushing up the timeline. Like, we were talking about how the luxury this group had with the record was that they had time to wait for maybe the prices to come down or more defensemen to become available. Like, I saw them talking about how Sean Walker could go for a first-round pick if you want him right now. And this is a sub-6-foot defenseman who would be all right. Like, it's Ristolainen in the trade rumors right now. It's Chris Tanev in the rumors right now for you don't have a first-round pick or a second-round pick, so maybe it's a first for you. Like, the deals that a GM has to make under pressure are usually the ones that end up being the worst. And so if the move is, well, now we need to act and now we need to add to that defense core, like I just feel like the price point is going to be even higher. So yeah, like no matter what, the ripple effect of this is going to be really, really tough on the Maple Leafs. But yeah, I think to
What
me,
do you have? Like, do you have a solution for it, or are you just like it's just panic time? Is that what it is?
but again, like I think you're sort of misinterpreting this. Like, yeah, of course it's panic, like because of all the reasons that I just outlined. Like if you do the most realistic outcomes, Toronto's in trouble for a lot of different reasons. It adds to a already heavy trade plate for Brad Tree Living. It's one of your breakout players of the year. This is a team that's up against the cap, and this is the guy on the team that's making the least amount of money, who's giving you the best output. He plays the most important position on the team, especially when it comes to the postseason. And he had been, one of their more reliable players this year, and certainly one of the guys that had played the best. Like, I don't think you can understate an injury like that with hope and ifs and buts. Like, I just think the reality of the situation is really, really dire for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, like, I think what the solution is going to have to be is the same thing that we've been talking about all season, which is it puts more pressure on the Stars, and it puts more pressure on this team to show that identity of they're hard to play against. They have more attention to detail, and their star players are more consistent night in, night out. Like tonight, I was like, I didn't even want to be mad about Joe Wall. I just want to be mad about the first period because, like, how many different excuses the Leafs have for their slow starts and giving up goals at the end of periods now? Because it's like, okay, so they travel to Sweden and it's a slow start because they traveled. All right, it's a back-to-back. Well, it's a slow start because it's a back-to-back. And now we've got the like, well, they're not playing enough games and they've been rested too much and they haven't played since Saturday night against Boston. So that's why they come out flat-footed. Like at some point, this team just needs to grow up and these guys need to show their commitment to winning. And I know this is the NHL. It's 82 games. You can't expect these guys to show up like every single time.
Yeah.
But these efforts are just far too consistent. These are far too familiar. This isn't a team that can get away with this because they do this once in a while. Like they do it all the freaking time. And it's just infuriating. Like no physicality, no snot, no identity, no pressure from their stars. Like a horrific outcome tonight in the first.
What do you expect? It's the same 4 stars. It's the same coach. It's the same, it's the same. Outside of adding in a couple guys that, are supposed to be snotty and one guy that plays 8 minutes a night, like they're the same squad. I like banging your head against the wall, like doing the same thing. And what's this definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and expecting different results. This is just who they are. This is what they do. This is why this team can be really frustrating at times. It's just they have slow starts. They go to sleep. They let goals in at the end of periods. They do brain dead stuff in their own zone sometimes, like Willie Nylander in the last minute tonight, shoveling 2 pizzas right up the middle, pizza right up the middle there. Like it's the same core doing the same things. And, we talk about this team every single post game. And we really could do a 10-minute show. Everybody like, yeah, same guys doing the same thing. End of show. Like, it really is what it comes down to. So I thought that, the third line got him a big goal tonight. I think, who was Camp scored the dribbler, which if you're an Ottawa, if you're an Ottawa player or fan, like after Joe Wall is just putting on a 10 out of 10 clinic and David Camp trickles one through your goalie's legs from like in the blue paint. Probably not the best pill to swallow. Marner gets one. It's just a classic Leafs game where they outskill the other guys. They score more goals and they hang on for dear life.
I was gonna say, what do you think the deserve a win meter that people love to share after a hockey game is like? This got to be 90% sends, right?
I have to say, that has really trickled out of my feed. It never trickles in anymore. Like I don't know how I've gotten away from it, but I just never see it anymore. Like
I just like to stay off Twitter during the games for the most part. Now I know I probably should for the job and the work, and every once in a while I see a stat that's interesting that I want to log down. But I just like I don't want to be scrolling through an app while I'm trying to watch the game and be as detailed as possible. But I just I thought that this group would find a little bit of that identity. And I think that now they're at the quarter mark where we haven't really seen it. And you said, what's changed is like, you're right. It's the same 4 guys. It's the same coach. It's all this stuff that we keep saying. But I really did think like, all right, if your entire offseason was about the snot and you paid Ryan Reeves all this money because you knew he was going to be a bad hockey player, but he was going to have an impact on the room. If you were going to bring in Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi, then like, yeah, I do want to at least have moments in a game against the Ottawa freaking Senators where this team, by the way, the Sens have like a million games in hand, right? At least one, great.
Yeah.
But
Took it
you're
away.
in their building. It's 50-50 Sens, and you would just think that this is the kind of game where you feel the snot, where you're rested, you can come out. And you know what? Maybe you don't have your game. Like the Leafs did look like a team that hadn't played in 5 days or whatever. But it's like, okay, then find a way to impact it in a different way. Like play with a little bit of tenacity. And to me, it was it was shinny.
I thought Reeves had some moments tonight where he was physical. I thought he threw some big hits. Like I thought.
Yeah, so did I later in the game.
Even in the first period, he pasted McEwen along the boards, and he just seemed like he was like, it was a good Reeves game for me. Like I thought he was actually like, that's the, what do you play? 8 minutes probably, or he throws a couple hits. He's around. He doesn't give up a goal, and then he gets off the ice. That's kind of like the ideal thing. My
point more so wasn't about like feeling his impact on the ice, because like I never really thought that was going to be a thing. It was more just like, hey, if he's paid to be like Mr. Change the attitude in the room and change the temperament of the team, like you bring him in to be the DJ, I guess, like the new tunes are really going to change. But you know what I'm saying is like
Lafferty's
taste in music guys accountable.
Lafferty's taste in music must have stunk. They had to get him out of there.
Yeah, it was really bad. Got like, get this guy out of here. Yeah, Sheldon Keefe saying after the game, quote, Wool will miss some time for sure.
Okay, I could have diagnosed that one for you, boys.
Yeah.
That's a stunning development there.
Yeah. Still, you were really hoping for the old, it's not as bad as it seems, and then scrap this whole podcast.
When I knew it, when they showed the like back view and his right leg was like shaking, I was like, oh, it's bad. I was like, he's like, oh, he's feeling the pain. He's not like, there's zero pressure, and his right leg was like trembling. It was like, oh my God. Yeah. So listen, it's going to be a month or two for sure.
I hope. You really hope it's not surgery. You really hope it's not the hip. God, you hope it's none of these things. I'm like, what do I want it to be? Like a small knee sprain?
When it first happened, I thought it hit him in the throat. I thought it got up under his chin. And I was like, oh, it hit him. It like kind of like came up like this. And I thought he like grabbed it. I was like, oh, little stinger. And then they're like, oh, it's looking bad. And I was like, oh, great. That's fun. So
yeah, I just saw it right away. It's like when you see those football injuries where guys just pull up from the non-contact. I always think about Jamal Charles.
Yeah,
that's what I thought of with that injury, is like you just see right away like the full pain, keel over, like can't even play the puck, and like that movement he makes to try to get back in a position, and then the full like just pain, keel over is I don't want to see it again.
So can I say that I have like not necessarily a prediction, but
yeah,
I don't think this is going to be as bad as you think the next stretch. I
hope not.
I'm sneaky optimistic about this, that Samsonov can find a way to just get all you need is 905, 907. Find a way to get it from 878 all the way up to 905. You know, it's not that far. You can figure it out, Sammy. You're paid like to be the starting goalie. You had moments last year where you were really, really good. Just think back on that. You're now the guy. There's no question. You're just going out there. You're playing. You're the starting goalie. You're playing every night. Like I really do have a feeling that we're going to look back on this as a moment that kind of got him going. I do. I'm not usually optimistic about this kind of stuff, and definitely not with goalies, but I have a weird feeling about this.
Yeah, I just like that our analysis now is I got a feeling. It's like being fishing in a boat.
I'm a sports fan. I get feelings about things sometimes, and it's like they literally put me in this position to tell people.
I mean, your feeling was that Matt Murray was going to be a star in this market. So like when it comes to your feelings, we'll always have really overly invested.
We'll always have the Dallas Stars game, bud, where he was on fire. Best game score of the year, pal. So take a lap on that one.
Quick listener disclaimer note. The last Sammy, I have a feeling, was Matt Murray is going to be
this is your boy. Samsonov's your boy. Like he's your guy. Like he's your favorite player. You love him. So it's like you should be so happy for him. Yeah. You loved him. He's like, it was never his fault all last year. So now it's like your perfect time.
I liked him compared to Murray. I just
right. Just like you like Bernier compared to who, bud?
Buddy,
you're a goalie apologist.
I like all the goalies. I love all the goalies.
By far my least favorite position in all of sports. Like
yes, I love goaltenders, and I hate when they get blamed. And I hated the blame Samsonov was taking last year in the playoffs.
Well,
I still
get ready
defend
for some
Freddie Anderson.
blame, buddy.
Yeah, like that, buddy. Here's my entire list of
You're
Leafs
gonna be
goaltenders that I didn't
taking
like.
out the sword.
Yeah, you want the entire list of Leafs goalies that I can remember that I didn't like?
I'm trying to think.
Vesatoskala,
Oh yeah.
Andrew Raycroft.
Yeah.
End of list.
Helkvist had some moments, but
come on. I even did have a moment where I was like, maybe Matt Murray's good. That Tampa game, the Tampa game too,
and the Dallas game where he was like unbelievable. Yeah, no, you know my take on goalies. The game would be more pure if it was just a shooter tutor in there. Piece of board. You're gonna find out who the real best team is.
Bro, this is where it's like, you're my best bud, and I know you too well. It's like it's I know you too well. The second Wool went down, and all of everyone's gonna have the monoculture take of this is really bad because obviously it's bad.
It's clearly bad.
Zag King. This was the way for you to like Samsonov. Was you saw the Zag and you just
I do not like Samsonov. I have no.
I know you don't.
I don't like him at all, but I just feel like he can rally around this. The whole thing is he wasn't playing, and like he's going in there and he's worrying about every start that he has. He's got this kid looking over his shoulder. Now he's got a journeyman backup that's not going to be pushing him at all. Hits his net. Full stop. It's his net. So I think that can be good for him.
I'll be telling you right now, the second I get off the show, I'll be texting people asking them who the Leafs can get in net because I don't have
sources,
the faith. I do like the theory. I do like the theory of the no guy behind him, that he's just can't have any pressure guy. But that also scares the crap out of me because it's like, good, you want to have the no pressure guy get in the postseason again and have that.
Who was his back? Was it Murray? Was his backup all last time? Like Murray was hurt for a long time. Who was the third goalie last year?
It was Wool for Wool had some stretches with the team. Like he got his, and he was the backup in the playoffs. Obviously, like Wool was the playoff backup.
Yeah,
and then who else? There was everyone wanted Petruzzelli, who never ended up actually.
They had some goalie issues last year too, man.
Yeah,
it really did.
Who was there's one other guy I'm forgetting that was on the team last year that ended up getting, because Wool got hurt last year too.
Yeah. It's listen, it's a thing with him. Like it's part of the story. Like
that's the part we didn't even discuss, is that it's just like now, you're stacking another injury, one that could be very significant for a young goaltender.
Here's the totals for him in his pro career. He played 32 in his first year with the Marlies.
Yeah.
And then it was 15. And then he played 4 with the Leafs that year, 15, 7 with the Leafs, 21, and now 14. It's not a ton of games.
No, it's really not.
Yeah.
Do you know? Don't look at the chat.
Shalgren, yes, of course, Shawley. Yeah. Is he still with the organization? Give him a run. Call him up. You liked him too. He was handsome. You had a thing for him. You liked him.
I liked Shalgren too. I like them all, buddy. I did a rant video after, because you remember when Shalgren came in 2 years ago and had that little hot run?
Oh yeah.
I did a rant video for Sportsnet about how he was the chosen one.
That's the most fun rant thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, no, he's on the Utica Comets.
Damn,
so
damn.
Yeah.
Get on the horn, Brad. Bring him back.
Yeah, dude. There's really no goalie that they could bring. Oh, sorry. I would also say I got no faith in Casimir Casasuco because we watched him get absolutely destroyed in his first. I was like, this is his entire career.
Old Brad's he's definitely calling up Conrad to being like, oh, how's that Vladar looking? He loves Vladar. It's like, get the Vladar here. He's probably calling up Vladar, but now Markstrom's out for a while too. Oh yeah, and Jet Alexander. They had some goalies last year, and that was old Dubas making him put him in net at the end there. Oh, that was ugly.
This could be a take I regret, because maybe he does end up being the guy, but I'm a fan of goalie style and play. I'm not a Vladar guy.
No,
not at all.
No, I agree. And they just put in the kid Dustin Wolf. They were chanting for Dustin Wolf in Calgary. When they're chanting for the backup, it's probably never a good sign.
It's not good. All right. I don't even know.
Last thing.
Yeah.
Never gets old watching the pop from the crowd at the Canadian Tire Center, blue and white city.
Yeah.
Never gets old. And they're just fired up. And that's like where the real fans are. You know, like the
Yeah.
pops there are better than they are at the Scotiabank Arena by far. And like that fourth goal pop when Willie scored was like a playoff goal. It was loud in there. So it's like my theory, having one game a year or 2 games a year where it's like first come, first serve at Scotiabank Arena, where it's like you have to line up, and how loud that arena would actually be. Like the true blue Leaf fans are loud. So I love that. Nothing
I
gets
will
old for me.
say, as someone who has gone to many, many games in that arena, like that crowd also gets a lot of foreplay. You know, they're ready for that game because
You'd say
you
they're
spend
sufficiently greased.
Yeah, there's a lot of foreplay that goes into the Leafs Sens Canadian Tire Center game. You're in the glebe, you're drinking, then you're getting on a shuttle or you're getting on the bus and you're heading down and you're drinking on the bus with all Sens and Leafs fans just hammering each other the entire bus ride up. And you know the stakes are intense.
Oh, yeah.
And then you hit the parking lot and it's Dart City before going in there or going in, cramming into that stadium. And then it's just, I will say, it is really one of the best hockey experiences you can have. Like, I love the Bell Center. I feel I've said this many times, but the Bell Center just has it's almost like you can feel hockey breathing in the air. Like it's
different there.
It's just different. It's like the crowd gets it. Like they understand like the intricacies of every game. It's a hardcore crowd almost every single night. But that is my number 2 is Sens Leafs at Canadian Tire. If I was going to pick one game to go to, like before I died, that's the one I would choose, is that on a greasy Saturday night, and take the glebe shuttle up and just rip some those parking lot darts.
Anywhere with darts and beers, you'll catch you there. I'm there.
I'll be there. Oh, so 2 quick rapid fire things. Number 1 is just that's the Leafs' 9th comeback win of the season, which is tied for first in the NHL. So you know it's funny because like I mentioned
that fits the narrative. Dog starts, superstars. Done.
But
there's your comeback games.
Here's one take I'm completely done with. I'm done with the take of like, I actually thought the Leafs showed a lot of toughness to overcome that slow start. It's like, like I'm good on that now. I would like that to go to the take graveyard. And also, I just need to bring this up. Have you ever seen a puck hit a crossbar harder than Matthews off the crossbar? Like I thought that puck exploded into 85 pieces.
It pulverized, like it evaporated. And the crazy thing is about it, it is such an amazing pass from Nylander. No look, wrap around right on the pillow. Look at this.
Nasty.
Right on the pillow. And where'd that even go? Like,
that's what I mean. It was hit so hard. I thought that the puck turned into dust, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be like Randy Johnson hitting the bird. Like Matthews cracked the puck off the crossbar. We're going to have this in highlights for the rest of our lives. Like he made a puck turn into dust.
He was that was centimeters away from the most ferocious bar down of all time.
Yeah.
Like that was going to be up there with one of the nicest snaps you'll ever see. But like, I don't know. They just have moments of this line, especially with Nyes, where they're just so skilled and so nasty. And they have these like moments in the game where they're just in the zone and you're like, oh my God, but it just never seems sustained. It's not like wave after wave after wave. It's like one a period, it feels like.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like they have a good period every night. They have a couple of shifts where they just dominate, where it's like this, and then it goes away for a while.
Yeah, it just like it feels inconsistent. It's just like there's like a couple huge shifts a period or one a period, and then it's just not around. It's not wave after wave like it is with some lines. But
this line also had some dog shifts in their own end tonight, too, where they got hemmed in. Like, I guess everybody did. The Sens, the Sens finished with 50 shots?
It got to be close.
Yeah, it was something around there. It was in the 40s, has to be. But these guys, there was a couple where there was a lot of just like tired guys holding sticks out, praying for a tip or a broken play that was going to end up clearing the zone. Anyway, this is the longest Leafs talk I think we've ever done. Yeah.
Last quick. 40. Yeah, we got to go. Last one quick. Love Nick Robertson back-to-back games with super hard back checks.
Yeah,
he did it against Marchand on Saturday night, and I don't know who it was that he got tonight. Was it Giroux? But he just right here. Look at how hard he comes back here, and then he makes the play, and it's like that. Keith sees that, and he knows that he sees it, and it's like he's trying to prove himself. He's trying to prove that he's more of an NHLer than he has been in years past, and I respect the hell out of it because that's good hustle and that prevents a goal. So good on him.
Listen, it's hard to say any Leafs were good tonight outside of Wool,
Yeah.
but I actually have liked Robertson's game the last two, and he's a guy who I would have been okay if they benched him in the Boston game, the way that he was going. Had they gone and said, we're going to go McMahon and we're going to go Reeves and we're going to play a heavy team against the Bruins, I wouldn't have batted an eye about it.
Yeah.
And good on Sheldon Keefe for sticking with the kid and staying true to his belief that Nick Robertson needs some consistency, and maybe he'll be rewarded for that. So yeah, good on the kid. Subscribe to this podcast, leave 5 stars, and then do the damn thing of hitting the thumbs up on the YouTube, because not enough of you do that. We get like 20,000 views and then there's like 500 people who hit the thumbs up. Just hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. It takes 2 seconds.
And we're back in a rhythm here now. Like it was a weird stretch of no hockey, and we got 6 in the next 10 days. I think you're off Saturday. Me and Borny on Saturday. You're me and Borny on Saturday, but then we're just like right into a bunch of games next week. 4 games. Last quick thing. I know we got to go, but John Tavares with a point tonight. Now 3 away from 1,000. Saturday night Preds, Monday night on Long Island. A chance for John Tavares to get his 1,000th point against the Islanders in Long Island.
Get 2 points against the Preds.
Yes, that's the ideal scenario. And have those slackjaw yokels out there just hammering and booing him, and then he just goes and scores.
All right, for JD Bunkis and Sam McKee, here's hoping Shohei Ohtani is a Toronto Blue Jay tomorrow. We'll see you. We'll see you on Saturday night.